Hello, welcome back to Reading Success Academy. I'm Paula Smith. I am really glad you're here. We're getting ready to do what I call a word attack practice. So we're going to break a longer word down into smaller chunks to make it easier to read and easier to spell. So if you'd like to follow along, you can grab paper and pencil and you can write the word down and then break it up with me as we go along. All right, today's word of the day, I'll get that up here for you. Here we go. Make sure you can see it well there. All right. So the first thing that we do when we are trying to break down a longer word is we're going to look for special endings like shun and chur and shus and jur. There's 8 different special endings. And if you'd like a list of those special endings, you can message me at hello@readingsuccessacademy.com. I'd be happy to send those your way. I'll also give you a list of words that have those special endings as examples for you. But this word does not have a special ending, so we are just going to go to step 2, which is to look for 2 or more letters that work together to make one sound. Now, an example of that would be these 2 M's right here. Okay, they work together to make mm. Another example would be where we have a consonant E. Normally, that would be a long A sound. It can also be an S sound in some words like adequate and deliberate. Now, a lot of times, OR can be an sound. It could also be split into 2 different sounds. Let me give you an example of that. In the word for, the O has its own sound and the R has its own sound. It's or for. But in the word for example, these 2 are working together to make an sound. So we have erd, just 3 sounds. So it can happen either way. And you don't always know which way to go with that. So you try one, and if it doesn't work out, then you try the other. I'm going to go ahead and leave these grouped together because I happen to know it's going to be an sound. And then we're going to start from the very beginning, and we're going to say each sound, and then we'll blend together when we feel like we have a chunk. A chunk is part of a word that has one vowel sound in it. And using the method, which is the phonographics method, the method that I use, we don't follow strict syllable rules. We're going to break the word up in a way that's more natural to you as you're speaking it. So the way that I break it up might be a little different for you. You might want to sound out until you get k, o, ko, and then draw a line in there to break it up. Oops, I'm on the eraser. There you go. Or you might want to keep going. You might decide, well, I'm going to keep adding sounds in. I'm going to say um, calm and break it up here. That's okay. As long as you have a vowel sound in each chunk, that's the goal. And if it's easier for you to learn the spelling of it by breaking it up a different way, you can always change that up. And I'll show you an example of that here in a little bit. So I'm going to go with this one here where we have calm. I'm going to group those 2 letters again. And then we're going to start sounding out on the other side of the line now. We're going to say M. So now we have calm. So I figure out one chunk at a time, and then I blend those first 2 chunks together. Then we're going to sound out the next chunk. Well, I know I'm already going to try here because that's what I decided ahead of time, but you can always change it later if you need to. So there's and now I'm going to go back and blend those 3 chunks together. Commemer, and now I start sounding out the last chunk. 8. So now I'll put all 4 of those chunks together. Commemorate. Oh, commemorate. Now I started out saying here for this O, but the letter O can be a lot of different sounds. It can be it can be O, it can be oo, it can be So you need to try something first. And then once it's blended together, you might notice, oh, it's an sound, commemorate. And that's perfectly fine. You have to try something. If you don't try anything, you're not going to learn anything. All right. Now, what I'm going to do next is show you how you can break it up two different ways. Actually, there's another way that you could break this up too. This in a way that you can see all of it. There we go. So what I did first was I did com m for 8. But you could also have done ka, or maybe you said co first. Mem er 8. That's okay because if you had said commemorate and then blended those chunks together, you still would have gotten commemorate if you're familiar with the word. Commemorate, that sounds like commemorate. A lot of times that change just happens really quickly. Your brain will pick up on it. Oh, that sounds like this word. And then you make sure that it matches up with all the letters to confirm that's the word. Now, another thing that you could have done with this, you could have chosen to break this up either way. Let me go back to this. You could have done the break differently here up to this point, but you could also have done commem o and then rate. And when you blended it together, it still would have probably blended into like an sound between these two, but you're still getting the word, which is that's all that matters, as long as it blends together and you understand the word. Commemorate. Now let's talk a little bit about what it means to commemorate. So I'll get some of my marks off of here for you. It's a verb, and it means to honor the memory of a person or event with a ceremony or monument. And just to connect this to real life, real times right now, uh, we're commemorating the life of a former president right now, President Carter. So, really good real life connection there for you. And then you could also use it in a sentence like this. Each year, we commemorate the anniversary of the school's founding with a special ceremony. A lot of times, commemorating something does involve a ceremony. All right, my friends, thanks for jumping on with me today. It was great working with a new word with you. If you have any questions about how I broke this word down, make sure you send me a message. I'd be happy to help you with that. This is our word attack process that we use when we're breaking down unfamiliar words to make them easier to read and easier to spell. I'll be back on Monday with a new word. I'll see you then. Bye.